Hey everyone, welcome back to the podcast, your cozy little place to practice real English through real conversations. I'm Anna.
And I'm Jake, and today's topic is something almost everyone wants more of, no matter how confident they already seem on the outside. We're talking about how to build confidence fast.
Yes, and I want to be honest right from the start. Fast doesn't mean instant or magical, but there really are practical, immediate tools that can genuinely shift how confident you feel, even within a single day or a single conversation.
Exactly, and I think a lot of people believe confidence is something you either have or you don't, when honestly, it's much more like a skill, something you can genuinely practice and build over time.
Today, we're going to cover what confidence actually means, quick, practical tools for confident body language and mindset, how to talk about confidence in English, and how to build lasting confidence, not just a temporary boost.
And of course, real vocabulary, real role-play conversations, so you can practice your English while learning something genuinely useful for daily life.
Stick around until the end for our full practice conversation, where we bring everything together naturally.
Let's get into it. So, Jake, let's start with the big question. How would you actually define confidence in your own words?
Honestly, I'd say confidence isn't about feeling zero fear or doubt at all. It's about acting steadily and capably, even while those feelings are still there in the background.
I love that definition, and I think it's really important to separate confidence from the absence of nervousness, because so many people believe truly confident people never feel nervous at all.
Right, and honestly, that's just not true. Even incredibly confident, accomplished people still feel nervous regularly. They've just learned to act despite that nervousness, rather than waiting for it to disappear first.
Let's talk about a really useful phrase here, faking it till you make it. A common English expression meaning acting confidently even before you fully feel that way internally until it genuinely becomes more natural over time.
That's such a well-known phrase, and honestly, there's real psychological truth behind it too. Let's practice using it. Anna, tell me about a time you had to fake it till you made it. Sure. Honestly, before my very first public presentation years ago, I felt terrified, but I just focused on acting calm and confident on the outside, faking it till I made it. And by the end, I actually started feeling genuinely more comfortable too.
That's such a relatable, honest example. Let's talk about another useful phrase, confidence follows action, which actually connects really nicely to something we discussed in our motivation episode too, motivation following action rather than the other way around.
Great connection, and it makes total sense. Confidence really does often build after you take action, not necessarily before. Waiting to feel fully confident before starting often means waiting a very long time.
Let's build our vocabulary toolkit now, since there are so many useful expressions in English connected to confidence and self-assurance.
Great idea. Let's start with basic phrases. I feel really confident about this. I'm not very confident in my abilities here. I'm working on building my confidence.
Right, and there's also a great phrase, self-assured, meaning someone who displays calm confidence and certainty in themselves. She walked into the room looking completely self-assured.
Let's practice this. Jake, describe someone you know who seems particularly self-assured.
Sure. Honestly, my old manager always seemed so self-assured in meetings. She spoke clearly, made eye contact, and never seemed rattled, even during really difficult conversations.
That's such a great example. Let's talk about another useful phrase. Imposter syndrome, a really common experience where someone doubts their own abilities despite genuine evidence of their competence, often feeling like a fraud who might be found out.
Right, and this is honestly such a widespread experience even with incredibly accomplished, successful people. Let's practice this. Anna, tell me about a time you experienced imposter syndrome.
Sure. Honestly, when I first started teaching English professionally, I constantly felt like I didn't really know enough, even though my students were genuinely improving and giving me great feedback. That's imposter syndrome in a nutshell.
That's such an honest, relatable example. Let's talk about one more useful phrase: stepping outside your comfort zone. Doing something that feels a little scary or unfamiliar, specifically because it helps you grow. Every time I step outside my comfort zone, I end up building a little more confidence afterward.
Beautiful phrase, and such an important connection between discomfort and genuine growth. Let's summarize this vocabulary section. For general confidence, self-assured, confident in my abilities. For self-doubt, imposter syndrome. And for growth, stepping outside your comfort zone, faking it till you make it.
Now let's get into the practical part. Quick, physical tools you can use right in the moment to genuinely feel more confident almost instantly, even before a nerve-wracking situation.
Great. Let's start with posture, which honestly has such a surprisingly powerful effect on how confident you actually feel internally. Standing tall, shoulders back, rather than slouched or hunched over.
Right, there's a great phrase for this: power posing. Standing in an open, expansive posture for just a couple of minutes before a challenging situation, which many people say genuinely shifts their internal confidence.
Let's practice talking about this. Jake, tell me about using posture or body language to feel more confident before something challenging.
Sure, honestly, before job interviews, I always take a couple of minutes beforehand to just stand tall with my shoulders back. It sounds simple, but it genuinely helps me walk in feeling steadier.
That's such a practical, useful example. Let's talk about another quick tool: controlled breathing. Slow, deep breaths that genuinely calm your nervous system almost immediately. Whenever I feel really nervous, I take a few slow, deep breaths before speaking.
Right, and this connects to a related phrase: grounding yourself, using your breath or your senses to feel more physically steady and present in a nervous moment.
Let's practice this. Jake, tell me about grounding yourself before a nerve-wracking moment.
Sure, I'll take this one. Before big presentations, I always take a moment to ground myself, just feeling my feet firmly on the floor and taking a few slow breaths. It really does help settle my nerves quickly.
That's such a practical, useful example. Let's talk about another quick tool: smiling. Even a small, genuine smile can actually shift your internal state and how others perceive you too. I try to smile, even just a little, before walking into a nerve-wracking situation.
Great tool. And honestly, research really does support this too. Smiling can genuinely influence mood, even when it starts out feeling a little forced at first.
Let's do a role play bringing a few of these tools together. Imagine two friends preparing for something nerve-wracking, sharing quick confidence tools with each other.
I'm honestly really nervous about this interview in an hour.
That's completely understandable. Have you tried standing tall for a couple of minutes beforehand? It really does help shift how you feel internally.
I haven't tried that specifically. I usually just pace around nervously.
Maybe try a few slow breaths too, just to ground yourself right before you walk in. And even a small smile can genuinely help too.
That's really helpful, thank you. I think I'll try all three right before I go in.
See, listeners? Notice how naturally these quick, practical tools came up in a real, casual conversation. Genuine, useful advice, grounded in real, everyday language.
Now let's move beyond quick physical tools and talk about deeper mindset shifts that genuinely build more lasting confidence over time, not just a temporary boost before one specific moment.
Great point. Let's start with a really important shift, focusing on effort rather than perfection. There's a nice phrase for this: progress over perfection, which actually connects back to our discipline episode too. I try to focus on progress over perfection, rather than expecting flawless performance every single time.
Right, and this really does relieve so much unnecessary pressure. Let's talk about another important mindset shift, reframing failure as feedback rather than as proof of inadequacy. I try to see failure as feedback, not as evidence that I'm simply not good enough.
Let's practice this. Jake, tell me about a time you reframed a failure as feedback instead.
Sure. Honestly, after a really rough presentation a few years ago, instead of concluding I was just bad at public speaking, I saw it as feedback, specifically that I needed to practice pacing myself better. And that reframe genuinely helped me improve so much faster.
That's such a healthy, honest example. Let's talk about one more important mindset shift, focusing on your own growth rather than constantly comparing yourself to others. I try to compare myself to who I was yesterday, not to someone else entirely.
Great phrase, and such an important reminder, since comparison really is one of the biggest confidence killers out there. Let's practice this. Anna, tell me about focusing on your own growth rather than comparison.
Sure, I'll take this one. Honestly, I used to constantly compare my English speaking progress to native speakers, which felt really discouraging. But once I started comparing myself only to where I was 6 months earlier, I actually started feeling so much more confident and motivated.
That's such a beautiful, honest example. Let's talk about one final mindset shift, self-compassion. Treating yourself with the same kindness you'd offer a good friend, especially after a mistake or setback. I try to talk to myself the way I'd talk to someone I really care about.
Such an important, often overlooked piece of genuine, lasting confidence, since harsh self-criticism usually damages confidence far more than any external failure ever could. Let's talk about another really important piece of building confidence, genuine preparation, since so much confidence actually comes from feeling genuinely ready rather than just forcing a positive mindset alone.
Great point. Let's talk about a useful phrase, doing your homework, meaning thoroughly preparing for something in advance. I always try to do my homework before an important meeting, so I feel genuinely ready, not just hopeful.
Right, and this connects to another phrase, knowing your material, feeling deeply familiar and comfortable with the content or subject at hand, rather than just memorizing it superficially. Let's practice this. Jake, tell me about a time thorough preparation genuinely boosted your confidence.
Sure, I'll take this one. Before a big client presentation last year, I practiced my talking points so many times that I genuinely knew my material inside and out, and that preparation made me feel so much more confident walking into the room.
That's such a practical, honest example. Let's talk about another useful confidence-building tool through preparation, practicing out loud rather than only reviewing material silently in your head. I always practice speaking out loud, even alone in my room, before something important.
Right, and there's a great related phrase, rehearsing, practicing something repeatedly until it starts to feel genuinely natural and automatic rather than forced or memorized.
Let's do a role play exploring preparation and confidence together. Imagine two coworkers preparing for an important presentation.
I'm honestly still feeling pretty nervous about tomorrow's presentation, even though I've been preparing for weeks.
That's completely normal, honestly, even with a lot of preparation. Have you tried rehearsing it out loud a few times, not just reviewing your notes silently?
Actually, no. I've mostly just been reading through my notes quietly.
Try saying a few answers out loud before you go. It really does build that extra bit of confidence and comfort with your own words.
That's a good idea. I think I'll try that tonight before bed. Any other quick tips?
Honestly, standing tall for a couple of minutes beforehand really helps me too, and a few slow, deep breaths right before you walk in.
I'll definitely try that. And I guess I should remind myself this isn't about being perfect, it's about showing up prepared and genuinely being myself.
Exactly. Progress over perfection. And honestly, just focus on connecting genuinely with the interviewer rather than trying to seem flawless.
That actually helps a lot, thank you. I feel a little more confident already just talking this through.
You've got this. Honestly, all that preparation is really going to show. Okay, listeners, did you catch everything in that conversation? Naming imposter syndrome, honestly, acknowledging genuine preparation, a quick tool for practicing out loud, physical confidence tools like posture and breathing, and a mindset shift toward progress over perfection, all completely natural.
Let's talk about mistakes now, both language mistakes and mindset habits that can actually work against building genuine confidence.
Great point. Language mistake number one, confusing confident and arrogant, which are actually quite different concepts. Confidence is genuine self-assurance. Arrogance often looks down on others, and these words shouldn't be used interchangeably.
Right, and it's worth remembering that being genuinely confident doesn't make someone arrogant at all. It's a common unfair assumption some people make. Mistake number two, using extremely harsh self-talk, like, I'm just not a confident person, treating confidence as a fixed, permanent identity, rather than a skill that can genuinely be built and strengthened over time.
A gentler and more accurate version would be something like, I'm working on building my confidence, which reflects growth rather than a permanent, unchangeable trait. Now let's talk about a mindset mistake, waiting to feel fully confident before taking any action at all, rather than understanding that confidence often follows action, not the other way around, exactly like we discussed earlier.
Right, and this connects so directly to what we talked about in our motivation episode too. Waiting for a feeling before starting often means waiting far too long. Mistake number three, believing confidence means never feeling nervous at all, rather than understanding that genuine confidence includes acting steadily despite nervousness.
Such an important point to repeat throughout today's whole episode. Nervousness and confidence really can and often do exist together at the exact same time.
Let's go through a quick reference list of useful phrases organized by situation, since this can be really handy for listeners to remember.
Great idea. For general confidence, self-assured, confident in my abilities, faking it till I make it.
For self-doubt, imposter syndrome, stepping outside my comfort zone.
For quick physical tools, power posing, grounding yourself, a few slow, deep breaths.
For mindset shifts, progress over perfection, failure as feedback, comparing myself to who I was yesterday.
For preparation, doing your homework, knowing your material, rehearsing out loud.
And for social confidence, leading with curiosity, connection over perfection.
That's such a useful toolkit, listeners. Save this list or come back and re-listen to this section a few times until these phrases start feeling automatic.
Let's do a fun role-play marathon. 5 quick scenarios, so you can hear these tools used again and again in different contexts.
I love this idea. Let's go fast. Scene 1. Feeling nervous before a first date.
I'm honestly really nervous about this first date tonight.
That's completely normal. Try grounding yourself with a few slow breaths right before you meet them. And remember, connection matters more than being perfect.
That's good advice. Thank you. I'll try to just focus on genuinely getting to know them.
Scene 2. Feeling nervous before speaking up in a meeting.
I really want to share my idea in this meeting, but I keep feeling too nervous to speak up.
Have you tried preparing exactly what you want to say beforehand? Knowing your material really does help build that confidence to speak up.
That's a good idea. I'll write out my main points before we start.
Scene 3. Feeling nervous about trying a new hobby in public, like a dance class.
I'm honestly a little embarrassed about trying this dance class. I've never done anything like it before.
That's such a normal feeling. Remember, everyone there is a beginner too. Focus on progress over perfection, not on looking flawless right away.
That actually helps. I'll try to just enjoy learning instead of worrying about looking silly.
Scene 4. Feeling nervous about negotiating a salary.
I have a salary negotiation coming up, and honestly, I feel really unsure about asking for what I deserve.
Have you done your homework on typical salary ranges for your role? Genuine preparation really does build confidence going into a conversation like that.
I haven't researched that yet. I'll definitely do that before the meeting.
Scene 5. Feeling nervous about performing in front of others, like a small speech.
I have to give a short speech at my friend's wedding, and honestly, I'm terrified.
Try rehearsing it out loud a few times this week. And remember, standing tall and taking a few deep breaths right before you start really does help calm your nerves.
Perfect marathon. 5 completely different everyday situations, and every single confidence tool we've discussed today showed up naturally across them all.
Let's do a quick correction round, both grammar and tone this time. I'll read a sentence with a mistake, and Jake, you fix it.
Let's go.
Sentence 1. I'm just not a confident person. I never will be.
This treats confidence as a fixed, permanent trait. A healthier version would be, I'm still working on building my confidence.
Correct. Sentence 2, a grammar issue. I'm trying to be more confident in meetings.
Confidence is the noun, but here we need the adjective, confident. It should be, I'm trying to be more confident in meetings.
Perfect. Sentence 3, real confidence means never feeling nervous at all.
This reflects a common misunderstanding. A more accurate version would be, real confidence means acting steadily even while still feeling nervous.
Great fix. Sentence 4, I keep comparing myself to everyone else and feeling worse.
This reflects a mindset trap we discussed earlier. A healthier approach might be, I'm trying to compare myself to who I was before instead of comparing myself to others.
Excellent fix. Sentence 5, I don't have no confidence before big presentations.
This has a double negative issue. It should simply be, I don't have much confidence before big presentations.
Great job catching all of these, Jake, and great job to listeners who caught them too. Let's do a couple more common questions before we wrap up. Jake, what's something learners often ask about confidence?
A big one is it possible to actually build confidence quickly, or does it always take a really long time?
Great question. And honestly, both things are true in different ways. Quick physical tools like posture, breathing, and preparation really can create an immediate confidence boost in the moment, but deeper, more lasting confidence usually builds gradually through consistent practice and small, repeated wins over time.
That's such a helpful, balanced answer. Another common question, is it normal to feel confident in some areas of life, but really insecure in others?
Completely normal, honestly. Confidence really isn't one single fixed trait that applies equally to everything. Someone might feel incredibly confident at work, but genuinely nervous socially, or vice versa, and that's a completely typical human experience.
Great reassuring answer. One more question. What's the difference between confidence and self-esteem in English?
Good question. They're closely related, but confidence often refers more specifically to belief in your ability to handle a particular task or situation, while self-esteem usually refers more broadly to your overall sense of self-worth as a person.
Great distinctions. I think that covers a lot of really useful ground today.
Before we recap, let's do one final story, weaving together everything we've discussed today.
I'm ready. Go for it.
Okay, a few years ago, I was asked to give a talk at a fairly large conference, and honestly, I felt completely unqualified. Imposter syndrome hit me really hard the weeks leading up to it.
That sounds like such a nerve-wracking experience.
It really was, but instead of avoiding it, I decided to genuinely prepare. I did my homework, researched extensively, and rehearsed my talk out loud probably a dozen times before the actual day.
That's a solid approach.
It really helped, and on the actual day, I also used a few quick physical tools too, standing tall backstage, taking some slow, deep breaths, and reminding myself, this isn't about being perfect, it's about genuinely sharing something valuable.
How did it actually go?
Honestly, it went really well. I still felt nervous walking up there. That never fully disappeared, but I acted confidently despite that nervousness. And by the end, I actually felt genuinely proud of myself, regardless of a few small, imperfect moments along the way.
That's such a beautiful, honest example, listeners, and it really shows exactly what we've talked about today. Real confidence isn't about eliminating nervousness completely. It's about genuine preparation, small practical tools, and a mindset that allows you to act steadily anyway.
Let's do a few more full-length scenes, this time a little longer so we can really hear the whole confidence-building process play out naturally.
Great idea. Let's start with a scene about building confidence before a difficult conversation with a friend.
Okay, I need to talk to my friend about something that's been bothering me, but honestly, I keep putting it off because I'm scared of the conversation.
That's such a common fear, honestly. What specifically feels scary about it?
I think it'll come across wrong, or that she'll get defensive.
That's understandable, but maybe try preparing a few key points beforehand, just so you feel more grounded going into it, rather than worrying about finding the perfect words in the moment.
That's a good idea. I think having a clear starting point would really help me feel less scattered.
Exactly. And remember, this conversation doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to be honest. Connection over perfection really applies here, too.
That's such a helpful reminder. Thank you. I think I'll write down my main points tonight.
Beautiful example, listeners, showing how confidence tools apply just as much to emotional conversations as they do to professional or performance situations.
Let's do a second, longer scene, this time about building confidence while learning a completely new skill as an adult.
I just started learning to play the guitar, and honestly, I feel so embarrassed about how bad I am right now.
That's such a normal feeling when starting something completely new. Are you comparing yourself to more experienced players or to where you were when you started?
Honestly, probably to more experienced players, which probably isn't fair to myself.
Exactly. Try comparing yourself only to where you were a month ago instead. That shift alone often makes such a big difference in how confident you feel about your own progress.
That's a really good point. I think I actually have improved a lot since I started. I just haven't been giving myself credit for it.
That happens so often, and reframing failure and slow progress as feedback, rather than proof you're simply bad at something, really can transform how confident you feel while learning.
I think I'll try tracking my small improvements from now on, instead of just focusing on how far I still have to go.
Great example, listeners. Applying today's mindset shifts directly to the very common experience of learning something brand new as an adult.
Let's do one final longer scene about building confidence in a new social environment, like moving to a new city and trying to make friends.
I just moved to a new city, and honestly, I feel really nervous about meeting new people and making friends here.
That's such a completely understandable feeling. Starting over socially really is challenging. Have you thought about preparing a few simple conversation starters in advance?
Not really. I've mostly just been hoping conversations happen naturally, which honestly hasn't worked out that well so far.
Having a few simple questions ready, like asking about someone's favorite spots in the city, can really take the pressure off starting a conversation from scratch every single time.
That's actually a great idea. I think I've just been overthinking every single interaction instead of having something simple ready to fall back on.
Exactly. And remember, leading with genuine curiosity about others usually takes so much pressure off feeling like you need to be endlessly interesting yourself.
That's such a helpful shift in perspective. Thank you. I think I'll try that at the event I'm going to this weekend.
Beautiful closing example, listeners, showing that even something as broad and daunting as building an entirely new social life really does benefit from small, practical, confidence-building tools.
Before we recap, let's give listeners a few questions to practice on their own, out loud, right now, if you'd like to pause the episode.
Question 1. Think of an upcoming situation that makes you feel nervous. Try describing it honestly using today's vocabulary, like imposter syndrome or stepping outside my comfort zone.
Question 2. Try applying one quick physical tool to that situation, like posture, breathing, or grounding yourself.
Question 3. Try reframing a recent setback using failure as feedback rather than as proof of inadequacy.
Great questions. Let me answer the third one to give an example. I recently didn't get a freelance project I really wanted, and instead of seeing it as proof I'm not skilled enough, I'm trying to see it as feedback, specifically that I need to work on how I present my portfolio more clearly.
That's such a genuine, healthy example. And notice how naturally that reframe shifted the whole situation from discouraging to actually useful and constructive.
That's really the final goal here, listeners. Not eliminating nervousness completely, but genuinely building practical tools and a healthier mindset that allows you to move forward confidently anyway.
Let's cover a few more natural idioms before we recap, because these show up constantly in everyday English when people talk about confidence and self-belief.
Great idea. First one, hold your head up high, meaning to remain proud and confident even after a difficult experience or setback. The interview didn't go perfectly, but I held my head up high anyway.
Lovely phrase, and closely related, believe in yourself. Such a classic, encouraging expression, but genuinely powerful too. My coach always told me to believe in myself, even when things felt really hard.
Let's practice a couple of these together. Jake, tell me about a time you had to hold your head up high after something didn't go perfectly.
Sure. Honestly, after a job rejection last year that really stung, I held my head up high anyway and reminded myself that one rejection didn't define my overall abilities.
That's such a genuine, resilient example. Let's cover one more idiom. Find your voice, meaning to genuinely discover the confidence to express your true thoughts and opinions, often after a period of hesitation or self-doubt. It took me a while, but I finally found my voice in team meetings.
Beautiful phrase, and such a meaningful one for so many people, especially those learning a new language too. Let's talk about one more. Put yourself out there, meaning to take a confident risk, especially socially, despite feeling vulnerable. I decided to put myself out there and join a new social group, even though I felt nervous.
Let's do a final quick role play using a few of these idioms naturally.
Honestly, I've been thinking about putting myself out there and finally joining that public speaking club I keep hearing about.
That's amazing. I think you should genuinely believe in yourself and just go for it.
Thank you. And even if my first attempt isn't perfect, I'll hold my head up high regardless.
Exactly. And honestly, that's exactly how people find their voice, one brave step at a time.
Perfect natural use of several idioms together, listeners. Exactly the kind of warm, encouraging vocabulary that makes your English sound more fluent and genuinely inspiring in everyday conversation.
Let's take a quieter moment before we recap and talk about how confidence can look really different depending on the specific area of life we're discussing, since the same core principles apply, but they show up in slightly different ways.
Great point. Let's talk about professional confidence first. This often involves speaking up in meetings, negotiating fairly, and trusting your own expertise, even while continuing to learn and grow. I've been working on speaking up more confidently during team discussions.
Right, and let's talk about confidence in relationships, which often looks like expressing your needs honestly and setting healthy boundaries without excessive guilt. I've been working on confidently expressing what I need in my relationships, rather than staying quiet to avoid conflict.
Great example. Let's talk about confidence in learning new skills, like a language, an instrument, or a sport, which often means embracing the awkward beginner phase without excessive self-judgment. I try to stay confident even as a complete beginner, reminding myself that everyone starts somewhere.
Such an important reminder. And let's talk about one more area. Physical confidence, feeling genuinely comfortable and at ease in your own body, regardless of external validation or comparison. I've been working on feeling more confident in my own body, focusing on how I feel rather than how I look to others.
Beautiful examples across every area, listeners, showing that no matter where confidence feels most challenging in your own life right now, the same core tools we discussed today, preparation, mindset shifts, and small, consistent action really do apply universally. All right, let's recap everything from today's episode.
We started by defining real confidence as acting steadily despite nervousness, not the complete absence of fear or doubt.
We built our vocabulary toolkit, phrases like self-assured, imposter syndrome, and stepping outside my comfort zone.
We covered quick physical tools for instant confidence: posture, controlled breathing, grounding yourself, and even a genuine smile.
We explored deeper mindset shifts, progress over perfection, failure as feedback, and comparing yourself only to your own past growth.
We talked about how genuine preparation builds real confidence, doing your homework, knowing your material, and rehearsing out loud.
And we covered social and conversational confidence specifically, leading with curiosity and prioritizing connection over perfection.
If you remember nothing else from today, remember this. Confidence isn't about eliminating nervousness completely. It's about genuine preparation, small practical tools, and a mindset that allows you to act steadily even while those nervous feelings are still there.
Such an important, encouraging reminder. And listeners, just like always, practice really is the key here. Try using one quick confidence tool this week, right before a moment that makes you a little nervous.
Beautifully said. All right, everyone, that's it for today's episode. Thank you so much for spending this time with us practicing your English.
We'll see you next time right here for more easy English conversation practice.
Take care and keep speaking.
Bye, everyone.